Good evening. Welcome to Martinez Life. I'm Tom Greerty. We have Chuck Nan with us. Chuck is the Gazette editor in Martinez, Martinez News Gazette sports editor, and an outstanding sports writer, and he has written a terrific book. And it's about the Giants, and we want to cover that and many other stories. It's about the 50 years since the San Francisco Giants came to the Bay Area. And welcome, Chuck. How are you?
Thanks, Tom. Good to see you again.
You bet. This is really a good book.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's got good stories. So who was the greatest pitcher in the history of the San Francisco Giants?
Greatest pitcher? Well, I have my opinion. I think it's Juan Marichal, hands down.
Yeah.
237 lifetime victories, most victories in the decade of the 1960s. Pitched a one-hitter his first start in the major leagues, pitched a no-hitter, but never won a Cy Young Award, though, believe it or not. He had competition from Koufax and Drysdale and Bob Gibson and those guys in the 60s, but he had 191 wins, I think, in the decade of the 60s.
That was an amazing area. After the Giants came in '58, and then we have the rivalry between they and the Dodgers in the 60s was incredibly intense. When Koufax and Drysdale and Maury Wills and Junior Gilliam and all those guys, and then you had Mays and McCovey and Marichal and all of that intensity. It was great.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that goes back over 100 years to the New York days, the Brooklyn Bridegrooms, as they were called at that time, then the Brooklyn Trolley Dodgers, and of course the New York Giants, and then they brought it out here, baseball on the West Coast for the first time. Actually, baseball, professional Major League Baseball, west of the Mississippi for the first time ever in 1958.
Yeah, Major League.
Major League.
The Pacific Coast League was outstanding, but not up to the Major League standard.
It was just a hair below the American and National Leagues. In fact, they tried to become a major league at one time. There was talk of that in the late 40s after World War II. Coast League known for a lot of young players like Joe DiMaggio getting his start and then moving on to great stardom in the major leagues, and then also guys that were still probably major league caliber, but on their way down, and had a lot of experience. Hence, I think the 1948 Oakland Oaks, they called them the 9 Old Men. They had Billy Raimondi and Dario Lodigiani and players like that. Ernie Lombardi was on that team. So yeah, Coast League was definitely a very strong league.
You really know sports.
You think so?
Yeah. One of the reasons I wanted to have you on the show is because I really thought that you know sports. I love sports. I'm a lawyer. I'm busy in a lot of things. I got my life, my church, and everything. But sports always keeps me very interested as a hobby, and you're very knowledgeable.
Well, thanks, Tom. I appreciate that compliment. And you know, you see all these reality shows on TV today.
Yeah.
You know, and some of them get crazier and crazier. And to me, sports is the ultimate reality show, don't you think? It's real life. It's got drama. It can have sadness, obviously, and it has joy and all the different spectrums of emotion as a fan. And you can also see them, see all those emotions on the faces of players. And if you watch something like the Olympics, that doesn't come around often, every 4 years, you see those emotional times. And I think it's the ultimate reality show because aside from big-time wrestling, you really don't know what the outcome's going to be.
Okay, all right, you made your point. God bless you. But I want to cut you off and let's talk some local sports.
Okay.
We'll get back to the Giants.
All right.
Alhambra's football team.
Alhambra, the Bulldogs, 2008 Bulldogs.
They have a bye this week.
They have a bye this week. They played last week at Newark Memorial, a really tough opener.
That was a tough one.
Newark was 9-2 last year, had one of the best defenses in the East Bay. They beat the Dogs 35-13, but Alhambra hung tough. They were in the game 21-13 at half, scored a touchdown on special teams. John Del Fiorentino also scored a touchdown rushing. And Coach Dave Silvera is really optimistic about this squad for this year. He's got a lot of juniors playing out there. Young team, a JV team that was highly successful last year under Coach Alan Hearn, who's also the offensive coordinator for the varsity team. And they have a bye this week, and then they renew the rivalry with Benicia on the 19th.
The ferry boat game.
The ferry boat game. One time way back, I guess in the late 80s, early 90s, when it was just the fall league, Foothill Athletic League, Benicia was actually a part of the league with Alhambra, and they would play each other each season.
Yeah. Well, Benicia and us, we've been opposite coast for so long. But Cellini's a good player. He's young, though, isn't he?
R.J. Cellini, he's the quarterback. Yeah, absolutely. He's going to lead the Bulldogs this year. Has a pretty decent arm. He can throw the ball about 60 yards downfield.
Really? He's only 15.
He's only 15. He's a young junior, but he seems to have some poise there. He, at one point last week, completed 8 passes in a row. In that game. I believe he was 12 for 18, so a very efficient outing, had 100-plus yards. And then, of course, the running back, a cornerstone of a good Dave Silvera team is always someone that can carry the ball reliably and gain some yards and establish the running game and then set up the pass. And they have a good one with Richard Calhoun.
Now, that is actually Judge Calhoun's grandson.
Right.
So in Contra Costa County Superior Court, Judge Calhoun was on the bench for many years, and I think is still with us. Maybe not doing too well, but he's still with us. And his son and his daughter-in-law have Cooper bail bonds.
That's right, Cooper bail bonds, the oldest bail bonds, I think, in the county.
And this individual had a good game last week, didn't he?
He did. He had 151 yards, which has to be one of the best debut games of a Bulldog player ever. On 22 carries. And so that's
he's
about
a grinder.
He is a grinder. That's about a 7-yard per carry average. And looking forward to that. He weighs 160 pounds, but I think he's probably obviously going to grow before his senior year next year.
His dad was fast. His dad went to San Ramon Valley High School, I think, but his dad was fast. Maybe De La Salle. I'm not sure where he went, but he would have been back in the 80s. His dad.
It's interesting you talk about speed because Coach Silvera's had speed with the Bulldogs the last several years. The Corey Allisons, the Brandon Rutleys, Travis Joneses. But this year, not much speed, according to Coach Silvera. Not a lot of blazers out there, but some guys that are sure-handed receivers. He's got Joe Griffin at tight end, who has experience. He has Jake Boyce at receiver. So it's going to be more of a possession-type offense, and you need that because you got to keep your defense off the field and fresh.
Switch gears, Coach.
All right.
De La Salle.
De La Salle.
They're going to be good this year?
Always. Any Bob Ladouceur coach team is always going to be good. Actually, I should say they're always going to be prepared, as you know, Tom.
They have a big time schedule.
They do. They also change leagues. They go from the Bay Valley League to the East Bay Athletic League, which is very competitive top to bottom. Yeah, but their non-league schedule is quite interesting. They open up this Saturday at Sarah. Not under the lights. Sarah doesn't have lights. That shouldn't be too difficult of a game, although Sarah has a third-year quarterback, Cody Jackson, that gained 113 yards last week. And last year against De La Salle here, he reeled off touchdown runs of 63 and 64 yards, respectively, late in the game after the game had pretty much been decided. So they're going to have to watch that double option quarterback there. Then they travel to Los Angeles and take on Loyola High School, the Cubs. Down there, who have a good program year in and year out. And then they come back here.
Let's get to Don Bosco.
Yeah, Don Bosco Prep of Ramsey, New Jersey, the number 2 team in the country, according to most polls. De La Salle is ranked number 3. They play the 26th of September. That game is still scheduled for Owen Owens Field, although there's been some talk of moving it to Diablo Valley College. If it's going to be at an on-campus game, it's going to be really hard to get tickets to that game. It is an ESPN national telecast as well. I think this will be...
Bay Area aired too? We can see it here?
Yes, definitely. I think it's going to be on ESPN too. So definitely.
So that's going to be a big game.
Big game.
Now, Montana left that program and went down south. Joe Montana's son...
That's right. Nicholas Montana
went down south.
Went down south to Oaks Christian Academy in Westlake Village, and that school's only been open since the year 2000, believe it or not. But they've got 3 Southern Section titles. They've played in the state championship game the last 2 years. They beat Cardinal Newman last year in Carson. And they've also produced the starting quarterback for Notre Dame, Jimmy Clausen, who started last year as a freshman, and he's a sophomore this year.
So how'd Montana do in the opening
Montana
game?
did quite well. He led the winning touchdown drive. I think they played on the road at Bakersfield Christian. Probably not a big challenge for them right off the bat, but I read that he did lead the winning touchdown drive, had 2 or 3 touchdown passes, completed about 75% of his passes, and evidently he's won the starting job.
Wow. Okay. All right. So that's an interesting aside. So how is the rest of the teams? How's Miramonte just generally, and Acalanes, if you know anything about it?
Yeah. I've done some research, Tom, and tried to handicap the new DFAL, the pared down DFAL.
Well, your newspaper, Chuck writes for the Gazette, and he does a terrific job. And today's paper, which had tragic stories in it, but in the sports page, we had the NFL Monday Night Football notes. We've got the local prep football notes with good stories about everything here. The Diamond notes for baseball. Chuck Nan about the Bob Hayes and the old time top performers of the week. You really do a good job in the paper.
Thanks,
I want
Tom.
to compliment
Thanks,
you.
Tom.
And then you got a good story in here about 2 national champions led by Vince Romeo and his team. About the local kids in Martinez that have really good basketball teams.
Yeah, that team is unbelievable. There are several Martinez residents on that team. They also have some girls from Orinda, Danville, Richmond, all around the Bay.
It's kind of an AAU
It's
girls
an AAU team. They're in the 6th grade now. They have a 2-year record, I believe, of 47 wins and 2 losses. They have 2 national championships under their belt, and they're still rolling. And you know, they have good coaching with Vince Romeo, and I'm going to try to get out and see them next year. They're kind of the best kept secret in Martinez. Probably the most successful team we have in Martinez right now.
Sports-wise.
Sports-wise.
Yeah, that's true. It is true. Let's go back to the Giants. The greatest player in the 50-year history of the Giants since they came to San Francisco.
Well, that would have to be, you know, unanimous. I believe it's Willie Mays.
Okay. Even though Bonds has broke all these records.
Yeah, you can make an argument for Barry Bonds, but I believe that Mays, with his 5-tool ability, you know, they talk about the 5-tool
Let's
player.
go over the tools.
Okay. Hit.
Running.
Okay, running, throwing, fielding.
Let's go over them slowly.
Okay.
Running, I think you're right on him, number 1. It crashed into the other guy and hit it off the wall, caught it off the wall. But that's, okay, we got running, we got fielding.
Throwing.
Yeah, he had a good
arm in the outfield.
Yeah, he had a better arm than Bonds, not even close. Yeah, better arm. What else?
Okay, hitting for power.
Yeah, he hit for power. Bonds
hit for power as well.
Yeah.
And then hitting for average, which
They're
both
kind
men
of a
could
tie
do.
there, don't you?
Bonds later in his career, but that's just because his average benefited from being walked so many times. So I think we have a little bit of advantage there for Mays, always hitting the 300s.
I would say that Mays played against better pitching.
Well, that's absolutely true.
I think the league is more watered down when it comes to pitching.
I agree.
You could not have had better pitching in the National League than when you had Seaver with the Mets. You had Nolan Ryan, of course, he was 68. But then you had Koufax and Drysdale and all these pitchers. Warren Spahn, Lou Burdette. Boy, there was some pitching.
Right. Bob Gibson.
Yeah, Gibson.
Ferguson Jenkins.
Yeah.
You had quite a stable in those days. I think that's probably the golden age of baseball. After World War II, you see the
after World War II was the golden age for everything. No, really, for lots of stuff.
Right.
Because there was structure, there was discipline, there was, lots of people, tons of people. There were common beliefs, common ideas, common truth, and there was not so much dissolution. You know, we're going through a period of dissolution and ultimately coming up with worldwide unity, but we'll see how that works, you know. Now, Coach, not setting aside philosophy, what is your favorite restaurant in San Francisco?
My favorite restaurant in San Francisco.
Because I know you grew up in San Francisco.
I did. That's really kind of a difficult one to narrow down.
Is it the House of Prime Rib?
Well, House of Prime Rib.
Or is it Skomas?
Well, House of Prime Rib is fantastic. I mean, you can't get better cuts of meat than there. And they also have something unique that I haven't seen at any other restaurant. You know what I'm talking about, the Yorkshire pudding.
Yeah, I don't go there.
No,
Yeah.
no?
No,
You
not
don't bring the
good.
offensive line there, huh, Coach?
No. The 49ers go there all the
Oh,
time.
yeah.
That's the reason why I
Yeah.
wanted to mention it to
Yeah,
you.
absolutely.
The 49ers are in there all the time. They want the
Absolutely.
30-ouncer, you know?
To answer your question, though, North Beach Restaurant,
Oh, yeah.
down there by Washington Square, they have an abalone doré there that is unbelievable.
Abalone, huh?
Abalone with
I'll be
cooked
darned.
in the butter and the garlic, and you know you got to be really careful when you cook the abalone. 30
Yeah.
seconds, no more than 25, 30 seconds on each side,
And
or
that's
else you
it.
ruin it.
You
You ruin it.
You ruin it.
But,
But you live in Martinez. You
I
were
live in
raised in San
Martinez.
Francisco.
Yeah.
And you enjoy it out here.
Absolutely. Love the Diablo Valley. Martinez is a fantastic community.
It really is.
You know, I feel like an outsider. I've lived here 20 years, Coach, and yet there's people that are fourth, fifth, sixth generation from Martinez.
Now let's talk about the Gazette. The Gazette, of course, also known as the Contra Costa Gazette. Actually, that franchise, that business has been around, that newspaper has been around for 150 years or close to it.
150 years. We're celebrating our 150th year.
Wow.
This year. We will produce a special 150th anniversary edition Sunday, the Sunday weekend edition, September 28th.
Huh.
And that's going to be full of stories.
Yeah.
We have several contributors, people around Martinez that know Harriet. Harriet's really helped us out a lot with that. Harriet Burt.
We're talking about Harriet Burt.
Harriet Burt. She's kind of the unofficial, you would say, ambassador of Martinez. She hosts a lot of events. She's kind of the mistress of ceremonies. She
I would agree with that.
She hosts
very well, she's experienced. She's a good talker.
Absolutely.
She has a powerful voice. She shows up. She's very willing to do it, and volunteers. She does a good job.
Absolutely.
Always has.
She's
and she knows everybody.
well, because she taught.
She wrote for the Gazette.
She wrote
too.
for the Gazette. She taught several of a lot of people around town. And she still is the hostess for the homecoming parade down Main Street every year, which, by the way, is October 17th.
All right, let me get my camera. I'll be there. It's Friday, right?
It's a Friday, 3 o'clock, yeah.
Get the camera out. We'll be there, eavesdropping.
Yeah.
God willing, I'll be there.
Oh, well, we love to have you out there. Hopefully it's not raining. Last couple of years the weather's been kind of shaky.
Yeah.
But and Bill Wainwright's going to do some contributions.
Good.
I've gone back in the archives. We're going to talk a little bit about sports in Martinez. It's kind of hard to
Another good
harness.
sports writer in the 40s and early 50s was Johnny Rodriguez, who's the tennis coach at Miramani. He and his brother Mike grew up in Martinez, and Johnny was a sports writer. He was very good. I mean, he wrote really good. He used to write about the softball league we had in Martinez, the fast pitch softball, and he would call third base, you know, the hot corner, and then second base the Keystone, and he announced the lineups. He goes, at the hot corner will be Joe Bellacci, you know, and at the Keystone corner will be Johnny Bellacci, you know, and this kind of stuff. And very good writing, and we used to enjoy all of that. And but hey, I think you're terrific. You've been doing a great job.
Well,
really.
thanks, Tom. We try to cover everything that we can, from youth sports all the way up to.
How do you do it? You're a one-man show. How do you cover all those sports?
First of all, you know, you have to be organized. You know, and you have to have some people that, you know, provide you with information. I've been very fortunate to have some parents from the youth level and also from some of the high school teams provide me with information from games that I can't get out to.
Yeah.
Some parents are just fantastic writers as well. Very little editing required. So I get a lot of help, and I try to give them credit as well, and then I'll also attend the events as well. Be out there watching the Bulldogs pretty much every game
Coach,
this year.
didn't you go to St. Ignatius High School?
I did go to St. Ignatius in San Francisco, yes.
That is a famous school.
Yeah, it's had quite a few.
I'd say they're close to 150 years in existence.
Oh, I think it was 1883. So
125 years.
Yeah.
Didn't they have a big celebration in San Francisco a couple years ago?
They did. They did have a big, the big celebration for that, and I think the first St. Ignatius, I think they're the fifth location now in San Francisco, was down where the Emporium used to be, and now where the Nordstrom's is down there between 4th and 5th and Market Street.
When you went to St. Ignatius, where was it located?
37th and Quintera, out in the Sunset District.
Still there?
Still there.
Yeah.
Since 1970.
Yeah, 1970. That was like the new campus out there.
New, beautiful campus. It still looks stellar today.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Alhambra never played St. Ignatius, but they were known, even in those days, as a powerhouse.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of De La Salle-esque, I would say.
Back in the 60s they were. They were coached by a man named Vince Tringali.
Ooh, I've got a sore neck. The great Vince Tringali from North Beach.
The Godfather, the Godfather himself, yeah. And he had 2 undefeated teams, 63 and 64, and SI was actually ranked #1 in the country.
That's what I remember.
That time,
yeah, because that was my era too.
Yeah. Then that was when they were in the public school league. Then they joined the West Catholic Athletic League in '67. Their quarterback that year was a junior named Dan Fouts.
Yeah.
And they won the league that year, and they had never won another league title until 2 years ago when they shared the title with Sarah, I believe. But all those years, all the great players that went through there, and one league title with Dan Fouts.
Amazing. Well, good stories about St. Ignatius and everything like that. How is the new turf at Alhambra working out?
The new turf at Alhambra is fabulous.
I like it.
Oh, it's wonderful. It's now been installed throughout Contra Costa County. A lot of the schools, most of the schools have it. Alhambra is unique in that the football and baseball facilities overlap each other, so baseball is also able to play on that new turf, and they're one of the few baseball programs that has the turf available.
Did the State Department of Education chip in some money to get those places? If it's gone on all over the county around the Bay Area here, if everybody has turf, who's paying for it?
I believe it's each individual school district.
Okay.
Yeah.
Using their budgeted money.
Using their budgeted money.
Well, I like it. I like what it is,
I think it's a lot safer, obviously, than the first generations of AstroTurf, if you will, that we first saw in the 60s and 70s. This stuff is better than the real grass. It's cushioned. It's soft. Can't get any rug burns on it. It's fantastic.
Now, who is the new recruit that's showed up at De La Salle? Not for football, but is there a new one for basketball?
No, there's a basketball recruit that just enrolled there. His name's Hollis Thompson. He's about 6'8" or 6'9". He's a senior.
I understand he's very good in mathematics.
He's actually quite a student. The reports out of Loyola High School, where he transferred from in Los Angeles, said that he can get pretty much into any school in the country without basketball. He's committed to Georgetown, the Hoyas in the Big East, coached by John Thompson III, and a Frank Alaco coach team is always prepared.
Is this transfer as a junior or a senior?
He's a senior. He's a senior.
He's going to be a senior, and he's already got a scholarship for.
He's given a verbal commitment already to Georgetown.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. He's really good then.
Yeah, he is. He's ranked, I believe, 52nd recruit in the country by Rivals.com.
Wow.
So
why did he leave Loyola? I mean,
that's not clear. That wasn't in the reports. But he's going to be living with his father up here. I think that his parents maybe have separate residences and so forth.
Right.
And he
so
decided to.
He's going to be. His father lives up here, and he wants to live with his dad.
Yes.
I see.
Yes. But while we're on the topic, I wanted to also bring up Brandon Rutley. I don't know if you remember Brandon from Alhambra.
Greatest running back since Anthony Green and Charlie Turville in the Vigeland zones.
Right. And
leaving a few guys out there.
Right.
Taco Talamentes.
Right. Refer back to the 100th anniversary of Alhambra football a couple of years ago when we talked about all those guys. But Brandon's made his debut. He's actually pid 2 games for San Jose State. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I didn't.
And the first game, he had 1 carry for 4 yards against UC Davis. And then last week they went to Lincoln, Nebraska, to go up against a tough Cornhusker team. And Brandon had 4 or 5 carries for 20-plus yards, so he's averaging 4 or 5 yards a pop.
Oh, he's good.
Returned 2 kickoffs for 75 yards total. So he's well on his way. He's starting to get integrated into the Dick Tomey's offense there. They've got a good quarterback, Kyle Reed, from McClymonds High School in Oakland, that transferred from Cal. And so if they can get some defensive play in that tough WAC conference, it's all offense, it's pass happy.
Well, we didn't even get a chance to talk about Boschetti and LMC or DVC, the great DVC.
Right.
We didn't talk about all of that.
Right.
We could go on for another show.
We could.
Maybe we should do another show. Here's the book, and it's 50 Years by the Bay by Chuck Nan, Martinez Gazette's sports editor, and a roundabout good guy. Although his restaurant choice, he should go to Skoma's here.
Thank you, Tom.
Just kidding you. Okay, until next time, good night and God bless. Thank you.
A century ago, nestled in the bay, I found it one day while searching around. The name on the sign had a welcoming sound. Martinez, a quaint little city with tree-lined streets and friendly hellos from the people I meet. And it doesn't matter if it rains or shines, it's a place I feel I've known